Today we'll be talking about booking channels, right? The booking channels that can get you more bookings and beyond the three obvious ones. And I have two great guests today from two different channels. You can see it, and we'll talk about this. You have to think that channels are not all the same. They can bring you different kind of guests, different kind of stays, different kind of value. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to, of course, name a few channels, but most importantly, help you think how you, for your listing or your portfolio of listing, most probably because we're talking to property managers mostly here, how can that fit all your portfolio, party portfolio at a key moment, for example, right? Okay, we'll get into this.
Welcome to RSU by PriceLab's weekly podcast. Subscribe now.
That's the 1 minute is gone, so I'm going to get started. There's already 80 of you. As usual, just a couple of slides, that's it, and then a conversation. Indeed. Do feel free to let us know in the chat where you're from and how many properties you have, because again, that's going to help us. That can help. I'm going to introduce Alex and Enrique in a few minutes, our guests that can help us. So do in the chat, let us know where you're from. If you have big questions, we have the Q&A. Use the Q&A box. We make sure to help you. And already I see somebody. I see Cynthia. Hello from New Gloucester in Maine. The French Pyrenees. Susan, bonjour. Christy from Friendly Canada, 100 plus. I see again. Again, let us know how many listings you have. New York, Florida. Florida again, hello. Southwest France, Wisconsin, USA, 250. I see Florida again, 62. Quite a few French people. What's going on? It's good to see you. Minnesota, Orlando, Hawaii, Wales, UK, Croatia with 20 listings. The Poconos, that's an interesting market. Bonjour, Becca. Good to see you. Such a great market. If you're not from the US, it's really have a look. Very interesting. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I guess it's Bon Dia right now. Great to see you. All right, so there's conceits all over. Slovenia, again, that's very important. Well, Slovenia will be very interesting for you. We'll be talking about Holidu. So let me get started with the slides again. Couple of slides introducing who I am, who's speaking today. Let's go. All right, so usual, if I'm not struggling sharing my slides, it's not a presentation. There we go. All right, so as I said, basically the goal is to get you bookings, right? Beyond the obvious channels. So they're named here on this slide, Airbnb, Vrbo, booking.com. And let's forget about them. Let's talk about the rest, right? That's the goal. All right, so who am I? So my name is Thibault. I'm the head of product marketing at PriceLabs, and I'm also the founder of Rental Scale Up, now called RSU by PriceLabs. And basically, we help you get insights about the industry. So basically, for example, we have a free newsletter every week you can get. We try to summarize what's happening in the industry, what are the big trends, what are the big channels, for example, up to, what's recent market data we've seen, what does that mean, and how can you take action on this, right? It's really for property managers. And we also have a podcast. Again, this is being recorded. It will be on a YouTube channel, and it will also be made available to you on a podcast, so that whether you are washing your dishes or you're at the gym, you can listen to this. All right. Our speakers today, I will just introduce them now and we'll have them speak right now. So we have Alex Alioto, founder, head of growth and partnerships for Whimstay. And we have Enrique Planas, who's the director of business development, Holidu. I'm going to stop the slides right now. Let's go first to Alex and then to Enrique, so you can tell us more about who they are, what they do straight away. Alex, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Good to have you. Let us know more about yourself.
Thibault, always a pleasure, my friend. And Enrique, this is the first time that we've met, but I think the first 5 minutes tells me that I enjoy you quite a bit. And thank you, everybody who's joined. I saw a couple of names in there I recognized. My good friend Michael Friedman here. So Michael, hello. And everybody else. So my name's Alex Alioto. I am the co-founder and the head of growth at Whimstay. We are a US-based, San Francisco-based OTA. And what we do is very simple. We help hosts and property managers fill their unsold gap nights last minute. So think under 29 days, that's what we do. Weekdays, gap nights, last minute cancellations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the expiring inventory model that heretofore did not exist in the industry now does. So that's it.
That's a great pitch. Fantastic. Thank you so
Thank
much
you very
again for being here early morning.
Thank you for having me.
Enrique, how about you? I've not seen you for last. I saw you last couple of days. We were in Rome together, the Vacation Rental World Summit. Good to have you again. How are you?
Very well. Thank you for having me, and it was a pleasure to meet Alex as well. Very nice chat before we started. So yeah, I'm Enrique Planas. I'm director of business development at Holidu, which is a booking platform, German booking platform, currently with a high focus in European destinations and European customers. Currently in Europe, we are coming right after the top three, so usually in the top four biggest booking platform here. And yeah, where we specialized at is European top holiday destinations, especially everything that has to do with the beach or ski destinations. So we're not the urban monster like that Airbnb is. We are more on the 1-2 week stay where people want to spend their entire holiday.
And thank you, Alex and Enrique, for being there. And we'll get deeper with each of you into your business models. And again, the goal today is, of course, to talk about Whimstay and Holidu, because to me, they are good examples of different way to think about channels for different needs, different types of customers, right? We'll talk about this. And they are, again, examples of channels out there. So what I'm going to do, I've got 3 more slides, that's it, where I'm going to show other channels. But again, the goal for this session today will be, thanks to Alex and Enrique, help you think through, okay, what are channels out there in a way, and how to think like, what kind of channels do I need to go after depending on my portfolio of listings, or the problems maybe I have with some of my listings, right? Some maybe not getting last minute bookings, for example, or I need some kind of customers for my properties, right? So again, the goal through these 2 examples of Holidu and Whimstay would be for us to have you think, what are the channels available out there that you can turn on, how cumbersome or not it is to turn on new channel. So very practical. So let me just start again with 3 slides, just showing what kind of different channels we have. Because a word I don't want to use is niche, right? Sometimes I hear, oh, all the rest is niche listing. There's nothing like a niche, right? If you have a good booking, a good channel that brings you high value bookings instead of 0, that's not a niche. It's a solution to some problem, right? So that being said, again, go back to the 3 slides I have to quickly paint a picture of what we're talking about. Clicking the freeway. And there's, okay, quite a few of you. Third of you have between 5 and 50 listings. And 12% of you have even more than 250. All right, great to see this diversity. Thank you for being here. All right, so that's what I said. Which bookings platform exist? Why should you even look beyond these big 3? Let's understand the models of these 2 ones, and then good questions, right? Sometimes you're like, okay, some channels exist, but do they actually get bookings? If so, how do they get the traffic for the bookings? That's interesting also to understand as well, how they deliver the difference they can bring to you. And then again, how to think through as a property manager. All right, as I said, for example, let's forget the word niche for a moment. Just more think about, okay, sometimes for the properties I have, some times of the year, maybe, I want to bring a different travel segment, right? I was at the VRWS last week, a big event in Rome, the Vacation Rental World Summit, and my friend Daniela Darin is here. She has a property, she's a property manager, 70 apartments. In the winter, she's all about digital nomads. That's month-long listings. In the summer, all about families, high pricing. So she has a clear strategy. She knows who she wants. And for example, digital nomads, that would be really her big target. But here you can see like Plum Guide for luxury, Mr. B&B for LGBTQ, Hopper. So Hopper is supposed to bring a lot of Gen Zs who are on app only, for example, or Flatio for digital nomads. They're just examples. But again, to think like sometimes I'm not thinking of niche, I'm thinking like travelers, maybe some time of the year. An example of my friend Daniela, maybe you want to switch on a channel because this is low season for you and you can somewhat change what you're doing. Another one is around, for example, the booking window stay type. Of course, we'll talk about Whimstay today here for last minute, explain a bit more what that means with Alex. And what we have as well, so I'm trying to get rid of the survey I have. We can serve people if you want mid to long term with spotted home, or for example, there are channels more geared towards properties if you offer outdoor and nature stays. Hip Camp is a solution, right? You may know of. Last thing I want to say, sometimes you also have channels that can bring you some types of guests. Enrique said, of course, they're very present in Europe, bring you European customers, for example, especially from German-speaking countries, but not only. We'll talk about that. I was at VRWS, as I said, this week, and I was, Trip.com, so Ctrip in China was there with a booth. A long time I've not seen them. Again, they are there. They want to bring Chinese travelers to vacation rentals. That's interesting to see. And of course, we have Whimstay again here for US. All right, so my last slide here, again, as I said, in the end, what I want to talk about today is like, it's hard for us to say, go to that channel. That's exactly the ones in this order you should be listing right now to get more bookings. Because kind of depends on the problems you have. Is it lack of last minute bookings? You don't have, you have a low season where you need a new source of travelers. But here, let's talk more about having you with you in mind, your properties, your type of guests you have or you want. Let's listen to what Alex and Enrique have to say. All right, I'm being clear. Let's get with a very simple. Let's start with a simple question. I will start with you, Alex. So in a way, why I'm a property manager. I'm getting bookings from the big three. Why should I even bother looking beyond those ones?
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid question. I think a couple of things, right? Number one, I will pound the table all day long on the necessity of having a diverse distribution strategy. We're, as an industry, growing, right? And I think you could say the big three. If you look at the US, it really is the big one, right? BCom is I think making strides in the US, but it's, I mean, if you go to the United States, they're not even called short-term rentals in the US, they're called Airbnbs, right? So anybody that I think relies on a single entity to create any type of long-lasting and substantial revenue, I think is just shortchanging themselves. And especially as we go in this industry, this is an industry that in 2 years is projected to be a $370 billion industry, right? So as an industry, we are starting to grow up. And I think what that means is getting to having as diverse a distribution strategy as you possibly can. If you look at hotels don't rely on a single or even or two or even three OTAs. They run the gamut. And so if you look at sort of how we are positioned, how Whimstay is positioned in the US, Vrbo, very good at 180 to 90 days out. Airbnb, good at 90 to 30 days out. US, Whimstay, 29 days and under. If you have that type of distribution strategy, you're now covering all audiences. And I'm going to say one other thing, and this is something we can talk about. This traveler that is coming, the next gen traveler, I will pound the table on these folks because this to me is one of our industry's greatest tailwinds, but we haven't captured them yet. So they travel very differently than any other generation before them. So Thibault, you and I talked about this a little bit on our podcast recently, which is they are not doing the 1 week long vacation every year to Hawaii. They're not doing that anymore. They're traveling 8-9 times a year. They're traveling during the weekdays because they're working from home, just not their home. These are 4 to 5 night stays, and they haven't necessarily chosen hotels or short-term rentals or hotels yet. They haven't made that decision yet. So this is an opportunity, I think, for our industry to capture them. And if you look at Whimstays as an example, demographic, our number one demographic is that next gen traveler. Why? Because they are searching for something other than just Airbnb. They are looking for value. They are looking for optionality. They're looking for all these different types of things. So, I mean, I think that's a sort of, this is a conversation I could have for hours. I would say I would lead off sort of with that idea. If you have a business portfolio, a stock portfolio, do you focus on one main thing? No, you diversify it. And so I think as our industry is growing and really blossoming out of just being Airbnb, I think this is really the opportune time to be able to capture an audience that we think is really ripe for the taking, and could very well be the generation that sort of moves short-term rentals over hotels. I am very bullish on that. So that's that, I think.
Thanks for sharing. I like this, right? Why would you only be holding one stock, and this new generation is still up for grabs? That's fantastic. Enrique, how about you again? This blunt question: why should a property manager bother beyond the big three or big one, depending on the big ones, let's say?
So
Not again, I want to reinforce something. Not that either of you is small. Again, maybe we should also share some data, right, to show, because sometimes it's something it's not on people's mind that's how big you guys are actually.
Yeah.
So first of all, I fully agree with Alex said, especially on the Gen Z and reducing the dependency on the top three. Like why depend on three when you can diversify? One of the main reasons that I would like to highlight here is like the more you depend, the less negotiation power that you hold. So if someone is giving you 60% of the bookings, whatever they say, you will have to dance at their rhythm. So if you reduce that dependency into from 60 to 40, they will still hold a bit of negotiation power over you, but way less than before. So that's one. And the other thing is that typically when I have conversations with property managers and I ask them like, what percentage of your calendar do you currently cover? And it's like, hey, well, like, of course the high season is fully covered, but then I'm happy if I get 50 to 30% of the shoulder and low season. And then I say like, hey, if this means that direct bookings and the channels are not doing the entire job, so why not covering all of your calendar or more portion of your calendar? Because the more calendar that you fill, the better you are helping your business to reduce the fixed cost that each property needs to carry. And businesses do not die because of variable cost. They do so because of fixed costs. So it's also helping you financially to have a much healthy business as well. So I could say like Alex, I could go all night long or all morning long, depending where you are, about this. But I would say those are the two top things on top of what Alex just said.
Thanks, Enrique. And staying with you again, I really like what you said about negotiation power, depending, and this and financial stability. For audience to understand a bit more about Holidu, because Holidu is one name, but actually several websites and brands. Could you explain a bit who the guests are that you can deliver? Again, the idea is not just to talk about Holidu, but also to help people understand that, oh, wow, there are some websites that specialize in bringing some types of customers or solving the pains of some types of property managers, depending on the types of properties they have, or a super precise destination they have, right? So can you tell us more about the kind of guests you deliver to property managers?
100%. I already mentioned that our focus geographically is Europe, and especially everything that has to do with beach and ski destinations. And there's no surprise that if that's our focus in terms of supply, then our demand comes mostly from European families. our average guest number is around 4 to 5 people. They book longer stays. Our average, depending on which region, our average booking length is between 7 and 9 days, sometimes even longer. So our booking, let's say, basket is actually quite high, typically above the 1,000 euros per booking. So the property managers that work with us typically tell us, like, I really like the bookings that I receive from Holidu because typically it's a German family booking for over a week, and already, and also not always booking on high season. It also helps me to cover some of the shoulder season. So that's us. High quality booking, longer bookings, families. No parties, no group of three, 4, 5 guys coming only for a weekend to party at your property. That's not us.
I have to stop you here because you say that quite number one of the bookers or the bookings, they're German. I know I know you're not German, but living in Germany is somebody forcing you to say that. I'm kidding. Just like what does it mean for people maybe who are not in Europe who don't understand what that means, right? What we mean here. I think we're talking about high spending, high purchasing power, probably travelers, right?
Yes, and also in general, Germans, you will only hear from them the first day if there's something that is not working, and then you won't hear about them. Like they will just be there, enjoy your property, leave it even better. Maybe they will even fix something that they saw because they are handy people, and then just leave a review and come next year if they're happy. So actually, they are very convenient guests in general.
Yeah, it's great to hear. Again, we talked about how different channels bring you different kinds of guests, and we know some channels bring you maybe problematic guests or let's say people who you like just issues with, and we all know that as owners, property managers, right? There's some channels bring certain type. That's good to hear, right? And that some types of bookers you want and some not so much. So it's good to hear. That gives you a lot of color about this. Alex, how about you? We started talking already about the kind of guests and maybe you deliver, but the kind of stays also, because we hinted to that. What kind of stays are you bringing out to the property managers?
Yeah, that German guest sounds fantastic. I don't know that American guests are that way. I'd have to maybe defer to some of my property manager friends. I think maybe they're a little bit chattier and needier, but I don't know. I could be wrong. But at any rate, yeah, our demographic. I'll throw some data at you guys. So our number one demographic is Gen Z, Gen Y, millennial, and then our number two demographic is baby boomers, so 65 plus. So that's kind of that's a little bit of the spot there. Our average lead time, our average booking window is 11.7 days right now. That's the most recent number, right? So it's not necessarily booking 2 days out. And it's also not booking 3 weeks out. It's kind of in that 10-day range, right? The average ABV on that, the average booking value, generally around $1,000 to $1,200. What I love probably the most is that 71% of all of our bookings occur when we call off-peak check-in, right? So that's a Sunday to Wednesday check-in. So these aren't necessarily folks these are folks that are taking those weekdays, gap nights, orphan nights. Shoulder season, as Enrique mentioned, is something that we're starting to see a bump in, right? Digital nomads, we do have a lot of digital nomads as well, a lot of nurses, things like that, right? So, and then we have that, again, I'm going to kind of go back to that next gen traveler. The way they look at travel is a little bit different, right? The way they don't necessarily look at it as something that is on their calendar for the future. It's something that they say, I can, and this has a lot to do with the hybrid sort of work culture now. I can be in San Francisco, or I can just drive 3.5, 4 hours and be in Tahoe. Then I can work for a few hours and go for a hike or go skiing or whatever it is, right? So we're starting to see that a lot. So travel, this kind of business leisure sort of combination, we're seeing a lot of that. So that's that. I would say that would be kind of the our sweet spot, right there. Yeah. Thibault, I lost you. Am I the only one?
No,
I was so fascinated by what you were saying. I muted myself.
Yeah, I was so obnoxious you had to mute me. That's what happened there.
So I'm staying actually with you, Alex, on this.
Yeah.
So I think again, so I think from these two examples, right, from Holidu and Whimstay, we get that. Obviously, there are some sources out there that can bring interesting bookings sort of value, and that also what I got from you, Alex, at last minute doesn't mean cheap, right? Doesn't mean actually like desperate bargain seeker. I could be digital nomad, and I happen to I want to work for some days. It's not the usual days. It's really, 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 really good to see this. That's hopefully that's helping again, and really for each of you, right? What are the lessons here before we talk a bit? Next question would be actually how you guys get the traffic and the bookings, right? But if we pause here for people listening, if they have to think about the channels beyond yours channel, if they have to think, okay, I would need some kind of stay, some kind of guest to a property. How should you think about that? Should they then look at the profile of each website? Are there questions they should be asking already around who they're receiving or who they need? Do you already we go further later, but do you already have like some kind of tips or things to share with people listening?
Yeah, on choosing specifically an OTA.
Yeah, for what we said we clearly saw that the two of you deliver different kind of guests, and it's like that's
Yeah.
interesting. So how should I, if I want, like, okay, I love Wimdu, sorry, Wimdu, I love Whimstay and Holidu,
Swimdo.
but how do I think further about other channels with these examples? How do I know that they can deliver different kind of guests?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really great question. And I think it is subjective based on what your goals are, right? So I am speaking from the Whimstay perspective. We're not reinventing the wheel here. The expiring inventory model is one that exists in the US at least all over the place, right? We have a store called Nordstrom, and they have a store called Nordstrom Rack, right? Nordstrom Rack is very simply, if you're at Nordstrom and that shirt goes out of season, instead of putting that shirt in the garbage can, they put it 40% off and they put it onto Nordstrom Rack, and then you can go to Nordstrom Rack and get that shirt at 40% off, but it's not in season, right? It's an expiring inventory model. Hotels have Hotel Tonight, right? So we're not reinventing the wheel. And I think ultimately, it's so specific on what it is that you want or what you need, right? So if I have a beautiful chalet in Switzerland, I think it would make a ton of sense to put it on Holidu, right? If I have a place in Panama City Beach, or if I have an apartment in New York City, urban is a big deal for us now, right? And that thing is not getting booked out last minute, and you're finding yourself having to desperately try and move it. I think it would make sense to add an expiring inventory model, right? So I think it's entirely subjective. I think ultimately the goal of this webinar should be this: am I diversifying with a strategy? Right? Do I have you talked about your friend Thibault at the beginning that had sort of that had kind of a game plan and a strategy that made sense. This is I think it's really, really important to be able to know, and everybody on this call that has a home or is a property manager is highly invested in their business and know what their business needs, right? So yeah, maybe Whimstay's not for everybody, and that's fine. I think ultimately at the end of the day, it's really, really important to know what is going to fill the gaps that are currently not there. How do you get shoulder season from 40% to 60%, right? And then the last thing I'll say about it, what OTAs do you think ultimately will be able to bring you more direct bookings? I think that's a huge part of this. I think there's this kind of crashing of heads when it comes to OTAs versus direct bookings. And I never really understood that. I always thought, and we talked about this, I think, Thibault, a little bit before, use OTAs as a traveler acquisition tool. right? So I think, if you can pull a traveler in and then you work your hospitality angle and do what it is that you do well, which is hospitality, you could bring that person back direct next time, right? So I think that there are certain ways that you can do that through different channels. So I think those are the things that you really want to be thinking about, right? That would be my thoughts on that.
Thanks, Alex. And I see a couple of questions in the Q&A chat. Do ask the questions, and we ask and there. And thank you. I think you guys doing a good job directing the questions to Enrique and Holidu, Enrique and Alex. Sorry. So it will be
Yeah.
easy for me to say who's who. So we'll make the time for your question. Do drop your question. Going to you, Enrique, with maybe the same question as well. Also going further a bit into how you're getting traffic, because I think again for Holidu it's very, very interesting your model, your multiple websites that can also help people understand. Okay, maybe local websites have a future or are interesting. So how do you guys get traffic and get the bookings?
So we have a mixture of marketing strategies in order to maximize the number of people that use us. And of course, we do the typical SEM, SEO, social media, and all that. We, of course, also do a lot of PR. But one of the things that we've done lately is a multi-brand strategy. So we've started doing certain M&As. So ferienwohnungen.de, which is basically translates to vacation rentals in Germany. So we bought that domain. We bought Gîte.fr, which is basically similar for that in French. Alquiler Vacacional in Spanish, and so on. And all of these very, let's say, generic websites, which had been there for 15, 20 years, highly trusted by search engines, and they were also doing bookings. We've seen that by acquiring them, we have amplified our audience significantly, because people just like and trust a brand that is basically as generic as it can get. And we've seen multiple domains going even higher than our own brand Holidu. So yeah, it's associating our brand to the generic concept of vacation rental, which has also been paying off significantly.
Because I'm guessing that it means that, for example, if I'm French and the word gîte, which immediately, conjures up like, a chalet or a rural home like this, and very it's very deep. It's like when you go with your family. That means that you're really able to tap into, the French market, the German market with something that completely resonates with them. A brand has been around for years. And of course, then you plug your own technology behind, I guess, for that's highly converting, right? So it's a way to be local way and get more conversion and more exposure for some listings, for example.
Well, 100%. And I think our brand a little bit has to do with that. So originally we started as a German meta search. Still, our half of our customers are Germans, but the other half are not. And Holidu was a mixture between holidays and do, which is you in German. So maybe for a French person, Holidu doesn't mean anything, or a Spanish person doesn't mean anything. But having this alquiler vacacional or vacaciones, Gîte, and so on, has tapped into this sort of like national website and this trust, as you said, with our technology in the background, by creating all of these white labels to these local brands, that has really paid off and has allowed us to grow significantly in the last 3 years.
Maybe naive question. So if I'm listing one property with you guys, do you put me on all these other websites?
Yes, you are going to be put on all of our 20 plus domains.
Okay, good. Again, that's to me, it's a good example again to say that sometimes, local websites, if I may say so, local language website, they do exist and they do have traffic. So that was just, of course, with with the Holidu, I would say Wimdu other ways. Sorry about that. I know they exist. It's
It's
different.
great. It's
Has
hilarious.
nothing to do with the two of you. Sorry about that.
Great.
But it is very, very interesting. And Alex, how about you? Where do you get the traffic, for example, about this? And I see the question about fees. I'll get about fees at some point. But
Yeah.
thanks you, Patricia, for the question. So again, where are you getting the traffic, these people?
Yeah, so a lot of what Enrique said, we're doing the same. SEO, a lot of so our the AI and ChatGPT. There's certain things that you can do to increase your visibility on those, and we're starting to see some nice gains there. And then on socials, right? So Instagram and TikTok, both with sort of ads, but also just regular content. Facebook. And I think it's we've gotten just randomly picked up by different influencers, which actually has made a big difference for us just by virtue of influencers. It's funny. It's just it's just it's interesting to see how significant and how important influencers are on social media now. And so we've had sort of been blessed to have certain influencers pick us up, and that's helped us quite a bit as well. And it's funny because some of these bigger companies, so Airbnb and Vrbo have bought, SEO Whimstay last minute, right? So anytime someone searches Whimstay last minute, so it's annoying on one side, but the other side of it is they must see us as some type of threat if they're buying that. So there was sort of equal amounts of and also. So I think I think that's what you kind of have to do. And then it's ever evolving. We've got a fabulous marketing team. And so I think it's ever evolving. And you kind of always hope in a weird way that you grow through word of mouth. That's always kind of the ideal sort of way to grow if you can, because it's genuine, right? You're not going to tell your friend to do something unless you really believe in that thing. And so I think, if you continue to do great work, put your head down, create a great product, have great customer service, can't tell you how important that is, and do all these types of things. I think that, we're only 3.5 years old, and that's crazy to me, but knowing really and being able to focus on those things, I think inevitably gets you into a spot where you start to become a thing. And so those are sort of all of our avenues, I would say.
I have a specific question for you, Alex.
Yeah.
Just on your model, right? As I said as well, sometimes because that's how things started, right? Like in the travel industry, lastminute.com in Europe, the website started out with the idea that if last minute you find good deals, right? So how do you actually help? How does Whimstay help property managers, let's say, increase bookings without thinking, oh, I'm sacrificing my value of my brand? And uh, next question would be, what are your fees?
Great. I'll start with fees. Our fees are 5%. That's it. Let's get that out of the way. It's a 5% commission, and none of this sort of, you don't have to pay for anything to onboard or anything. So it's just a 5% fee per booking. It's such a great question. And I think that there's a different mentality now in terms of that. I think there is a stigma around last minute travelers that I think hopefully is now becoming sort of a thing of the past, right? Where they are just value seekers, or they're troublemakers. I think if you have a guest that is booking same day and they're in the same city as you are, yeah, that's probably a trouble guest. That's one that we would block, by the way. But it's just things are so different now that people are very simply looking for options because they can. Options have never been more prevalent, right? And so, in terms of the value piece to it, right? Everybody, or most people, discount on Airbnb last minute. To me, I would think, why would you do that? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're discounting something last minute on Airbnb, and then you're hoping that somebody sees that discount. Your strategy is hope at that point, right? why not just have that, never discount on Airbnb, ever, always have that premium price, and then allow some type of sort of expiring inventory model like Whimstay to handle anything last minute, which is basically people that are saying this. Our data shows something really, really interesting. People are making the decision to travel based on the value. That is more and more a thing that's happening right now. And this is again how that next gen traveler tends to travel. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to go to Tahoe next week. Let me see what is available, and I will go with the lowest option. It is. Hey, I wonder what I should do next week. Go to Whimstay. You know what? I like that price. I think I will travel. So the decision to travel is based on seeing the value itself. So it's found money as far as we're concerned, right? That's what the expiring inventory model is all about across any type of industry. Hotel tonight being probably the most obvious. This is ultimately, at the end of the day, this is about heads and beds, increasing revenue, getting bookings where otherwise you wouldn't get those bookings. That's it.
And I think when we talked a bit before this live call, we also said that one of the values you realized is that what you can bring to property managers is make it easy for them to onboard. Can you touch upon why you think that's important and how you do this?
Yeah, I mean it's essential because I think that ease of use, right? Customer service. So, on Whimstay, if you have a PMS, you enabled on the PMS, and then you fill out a quick form, and then you have a quick call with your account manager to make sure everything is optimized and it's done. It's 15 minutes. And then if you don't have a PMS, then you connect using an Airbnb link, and it takes 10 minutes. So I think being able to do that is just it's just paramount. People have other things that they want to be doing, I think, and so for us, we want ease of use. We want things to be flawless. We want things to be easy, and we want to be attentive to what their needs are. And so I think if you have ease of use, you can focus a lot on customer service more. And so that's always been our goal from day one.
So once again, it's another case in point for property managers here. Obviously, it's kind of hard to know before, but do ask maybe friends, peers, or maybe sometimes your PMS, your manager, how easy it is to onboard on a channel before you pick it, because you obviously that's gonna the way you onboard, the way you can set up easily or not, will have big impact on your performance on that platform. Sort of same question with you and Enrique, right? When you think about this, but more geared toward Holidu, what is the value that you mentioned something around the fact that you can bring more occupancy, right, to these hostels. So how would you again express the value you bring to these property managers? And I'm going to ask you the same question because it's a practical question, fees. And again, for everybody, I see there's plenty of questions. So I'm going fast through the Q&A, so you can take as many questions you have about the different channels we're talking about today. Go ahead, Enrique.
So let me start with the first part. I think that one of the nicest things about Holidu is that the integration is extremely easy if you are working with any of the PMSs that we have connection with, and we have over 50 of those. So if that's the case, if you're connected to a PMS, it's literally like a self-onboarding, accept terms and conditions just by clicking a little box. Do a little KYC, which takes you nothing. If everything goes right, you could be online the same day. Depends a lot on the property manager. If you really want to complete everything on the same day, and you are already in touch with the person that is going to be doing the test bookings, everything could be live within hours. So it's very easy. And I was reading one of the questions, why don't you connect? Like lack of time. This is really like takes nothing. And if I would ask anyone, like, what would you do in order to increase 5, 6, 7% your annual bookings? What would you do? Like, well, a lot. Well, this would already happen if you would connect to Holidu if you're in Europe. I need to be super clear. If you have a beautiful house in Hawaii, we're not going to be able to sign a contract with you. We really do not focus on anything that it's outside of the European continent. But it's really that like very easy and an extra 5-6% of bookings, which is more or less what we get on average on top of the top three, sometimes more, depending on it's very dependent on where your properties are located. If your properties are located in Balearic Island, I got good news for you. We are market leaders there, so it's going to be way more than 5-6%. That's an average. If you are in the UK, it's going to be probably a little bit less than 5-6%. So it's really market dependent. In terms of fees, it's the same thing. We are more or less in the average. So if you're in the UK, as I said before, it's going to be around 12-13%. If you're in Germany, it's also around the same numbers. If you're in Spain, it's going to be towards 15%, and so on. But we are very average, anywhere between 12 and 15. And if we take care of the payments, we're going to add a little bit of a fee on top of that. But in general, very, very much on the average of the industry right now.
Can I politely, in a friendly manner, challenge both of you in the onboarding? Because I see a question of Heather Fillmore, which she says, for example, onboarding time and effort should be included in the question of ROI, and fair enough. So have we, with Holidu and Whimstay, have we stumbled today upon two channels that happen to have fantastic onboarding compared with the others? Because we kind of know that it's not always the case. It's so easy to onboard on a platform. So is it because each of your company has made a special effort in this? Because it's right, we do know that sometimes it takes more than just a few hours to onboard a portfolio. So what do you think is special? What again, just speaking, what do you think is happening maybe in other channels that makes it so hard again? Because what I want, again, it used to be a lesson, like if I'm looking at a different channel, we talk about a different channel, who do they bring in? We talk about the fees, and how about the onboarding? Why sometimes it's so hard? I mean, how do I avoid that?
I'll speak to this. I can actually speak to this. I'm not 100% sure because I've never gone through any of the onboarding processes of let's say Bcom or Vrbo or anything like that. I've only heard, right? For us, it was a concerted effort. We made a concerted. We have an incredible engineering team. We are lucky enough to be in San Francisco, and so we have access to a lot of excellent engineers, and that was, we're a tech company first. And so when we started the company, my co-founder Ben's first and most sort of, I would say he was very bullish on let's make this as tech friendly, as easy, and as user friendly as possible. So that was really, for us, it was one of our early initiatives. And so any roadblock is we weren't proven. We're still not fully proven. So we can't make it difficult. We can't, right? And so that was always really it. So I don't know what those other ones are like. I can tell you ours is really quick, and hopefully there are folks on this that have gone through the process and can confirm that it's been relatively quick and easy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've heard, and I have only good things to say about the people that I know at Booking.com, but I've heard that it's a challenging onboard. I'm not 100% sure why, to be honest. Haven't done it.
Okay. So let's go now, if you're okay with that. Let's go to questions, because I think a lot of questions about each channel. And again, I hope the goal for today was really to help everybody think through, okay, that there are other channels out there, and they should really match your needs in terms of like, we talked shoulder season, we talked about maybe perishable inventory last minute. We talked about maybe getting more, German tourists, for example, or making sure I can resonate with all the kind of needs I have, right? But we do get a lot of questions specifically about each of your channels, so let me go through that as well. All right, so it's in the Q&A section. If Alex and Enrique, if you feel free to already browse through this so you're ready for the questions. But okay, I don't know, a question unrelated to Alex. We use Hospitable for our PMS. How do you hook to Hospitable?
So we've got about 70, 75 Hospitable hosts on our platform. We are not integrated in Hospitable. However, you can integrate using our independent host portal on Hospitable, which is just as simple, just as easy. It connects via iCal, so obviously calendar's good, pushes everything through. So you would just use our independent host portal. And if you go to list your properties on Whimstay, just click on that, gives you an option, PMS or independent host portal. Just choose independent host portal.
Question for you, for Rebecca. Basically, how many PMSs or channels do you integrate with?
Whimstay?
Yeah.
25. So we have 25 PMSs and channel managers. I will say the ones that we don't have, it's probably easier to say the ones we don't have. We don't have Hospitable. We do not have Smoobu. But I think basically we've got most everything else.
Okay, thank you. That was other questions. I'm going through any other connection issue. All right. I think there was a question. I think there's maybe some confusion here from Anna asking, does Whimstay deal with high-end rural properties in Europe, or is it only US properties? I wonder whether it's for Holidu or Whimstay. Who wants to take this one?
I think it's for Whimstay.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do have properties. We have about 70,000 properties in Europe. However, it's important to note that the European properties are only currently for US-based travelers. So we are focusing on making sure we get US, Canada, and Mexico right first, and then we want to go fully into Europe. But we do have about 70,000 properties there, but it's only for US travelers booking. So you can still do it, but you're just not going to see the volume of bookings in Europe that you would in the US, Canada, or Mexico.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I'm just reading quickly through the question. Linda says, I think Holidu sounds perfect for me. Look at this, Enrique. Great to hear. Maybe it's a question, maybe I will have you answer this one, Enrique, but sorry for both of you. Do your sites allow us to request our own signed booking agreements? Carol is integrated with Honores, and we're able to use this with our requirements. Enrique has it on your side. I think this question, as usual, we saw in a poll we had earlier, people are concerned with the big platforms that they're losing control over the payments or the contracts. So how is it on your platform in terms of maybe what's the model? How is it for your policies and the rest?
I'm not entirely sure if I understood the entire question, but in regards to the question that, like, do your sites allow us to request our own signed booking agreement? Also, I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, Carol. But so in order to use Holidu, you have to agree on the terms and conditions that we upload into the partner portal.
Are you merchant of record, for example, and do you are people booking with you? Are people booking with you or booking with us?
We are not the merchant of record. We do take the payments via a partner, and then we give the payment to the property manager. The terms and conditions for the booking in particular is between the guest and the host, and then we intervene if there's any customer service issue. We do intervene only if there has been no solution between guest and host. Typically, we try to stay out of it, but we do provide customer service whoever needs it. So
yeah, still same with you, Enrique. A question about from Rosaline about the Caribbean. Does Holidu cover the Caribbean, such as Saint Martin, which is the Dutch side of the island of Saint Martin?
No, we stay very focused in Europe.
It's too bad. I'm with you, Rosaline. I'm also half in the Caribbean, French. No, not too far from you, actually.
Thibault, let me just, if you don't mind cutting off quickly. Sorry about that. I just want to answer. I believe her name was Carol. Question on the. Sure. And I think I'm getting this. I think I got this question correct. I'm not sure, but is the host or the property manager able to send their agreement out? I think is the question. If that is the case, then yes. So if the way that R works with PMS is if that agreement lives within the PMS, then yes, it gets sent out. And then Whimstay is merchant of record. I think that's also important to note as well, if that question is floating out there, I always think it's important to answer.
Thanks a lot. Question for two of you. I'm going to flip this around. Imagine I do want to work with channels, and I saw the question here, but I forgot for whom. Sorry. Oh yeah, from Thomas. But if I were to choose a channel manager that's easy to connect with other channels, which one? Right. His question is from Thomas. What channel managers are most friendly in connective with alternative distribution channels? We're all friends in industry, but maybe I know you can give one name, give a few names. I mean, again, because it's the quality of the connection and the onboarding is so important, right? To be honest.
Yeah. I'll jump in, and you're right. It's a dangerous question because I have friends at all my PMSs and channel managers, and I think they all do excellent work. I'll say that I think it's very dependent, right? Are you in the US? That's the first question, right? Do you have over 50 properties or over 10 properties? That's another question I think worth asking, right? If I have one or two properties, I think I think, there's a number of, OwnerRes and Guesty and Hostfully, and these are wonderful options, right? Hostaway. And then if I have 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 more, Streamline is an excellent option. Track is a great option, right? So, and I'm missing a lot. I know that. Logify is a good option for those 1 to 2s, and that makes up about 80% of the industry. So I think that it's so dependent, and I know that doesn't help, right? I would try even typing into ChatGPT or Perplexity maybe, and asking. That's my go-to now. My wife always says to me, "Ask Perplexity." So I think it's a good option is to type that in and say, "I have 2 properties in the Smoky Mountains in Georgia in the United States of America, and I want to use a good PMS. What's the best option for me?" And they'll probably be able to kind of pull something up for you. I would say that's probably and also that gets me out of the line of fire.
Enrique, would you have an answer different from this? I know you guys have your own PMS, for example, right? Something like that.
We do have our own PMS as well. And I couldn't agree more with Alex. I was actually scared that I was going to be asked the question first. Though I'm very happy that Alex took the question. Because actually,
Here for you, buddy.
I owe you on this one.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. I fully agree. I also have friends on every single PMS and channel manager.
All right. I see. It's dangerous. So,
but I do agree that it depends on what you need. And not only like in terms of like, I'm going to add something on top of what Alex said. So not only where you are and how many properties, and what do you need that PMS and channel manager to do for you? Like, do you need a tech stack on top to use Breezeway and locks and I don't know, because like if you need that, there are excellent people out there like Guesty, like Hostaway that do this. And there, like if you're in Europe, the Avancho is really good, and so on. So I don't want to give all the names, but it really depends on exactly what you need, because they all offer similar stuff, but there are nuances that will make a PMS better for you and not better for your neighbor.
Right. In these last 2 minutes, last question. That's great answers. Thank you. A booking platform is 3 things, right? It's usually a place where market and supply meet. It's also a payment platform. It's also a trust platform. And I see several questions here, which is like, oh, I like my big ones because they bring me quality guests in a way. So I get a lot of questions around. So I guess I need to ask the platform, how do you vet bookers, right? I guess the people who book, who are travelers, right? It's a question that needs to be asked. And just quickly, in your 2 cases, in each of your case, how do you vet people? What's in place?
Yeah, sorry, Enrique, I'll just jump in. We've got a very stringent traveler verification process, both through Stripe, which is our payment processor. They have a rating system, 0 to 100, 0 being this is good, 100 being this is high risk. We have a number. We only take 0 to 25. So that might mean nothing, but I think for context, Airbnb is 0 to 75. So we're very, very stringent about who we take on that. And that's able to do all sorts, that data, the data that Stripe has is absolutely incredible. If there's ever been a dispute with a host or a property manager, that's flagged. So all sorts of different things on that. And then front and back license, obviously, as well. Does that match the credit card? So I think that is the great thing about merchant of record, right? Is that we're handling all of that stuff for you.
All right. I want to conclude with a question for each of you. The question is here, like people basically want to understand which channels, PMSs you connect. I guess each of you has a page on your website where you can find the integrations, right? Most probably.
Yes.
That would be advice. And maybe again, if people want to follow up, want to ask you, I'm going to ask you quickly, what's the best way to reach out? If I want to know more about Holidu, more about Whimstay, maybe starting with you, Alex, people want to reach out. What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, I might regret this, but who cares? So you can just email me if you want to. I'm a pretty busy fella, but I will reply as quickly as I possibly can. My email is really simple. It's alex@whimstay.com. And if you'd like to onboard, just go to whimstay.com, go to list your properties on the upper right-hand corner, and then follow the prompts. It takes 10 minutes.
Thanks, Alex.
Yep.
How about you, Enrique? If I want to know more about you or Holidu.
So similar to Alex, we have a list your property button and an area with a form in our website. You can also connect directly from the PMS. If you connect, you've tried to search for us in your PMS and you connect. There's a end-to-end connection there. We will receive your request. And if you want to write to me anything directly, I'm pretty active in LinkedIn. I don't think that there are many Enrique Planas that work at Holidu, so just search for me, and I'll just ask to connect, and I'm checking that almost every day, so it's totally fine.
All right. Once again, thank you all for attending. We passed time. This is close to 100 people. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Enrique, for your time. Alex, as
Welcome.
well, the prep work as well. Thank you to Yuvika and Snigda, who of course were organizing this as usual.
Amazing.
So again, this is recorded. If you've been watching the recording till the end, good job. I hope now you're done washing your dishes, you're done with your reps at the gym. As usual, I see you next month, and I wish you the best thing possible. Everybody take care. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.